Hello traders and welcome to the Advanced Dashboard Masterclass series. In today's class, we're going to be looking at how you can get registered to use the Advanced Dashboard platform and then how to get it set up. So let's go ahead and get rolling for today. So to begin with the setup, we're going to come into Web Broker, and your first point of access is going to be to get to the Advanced Dashboard page. So there's one of two ways we can do that. There's a quick shortcut icon that's located in this right ribbon at the top. And you can see as I hover over it, it says Advanced Dashboard. We can simply click on that, and that's going to bring us over to the Advanced Dashboard page. The second way you can also get to the same page is by going over to the Trading tab up here, and then under the column that says Trading Platforms, clicking on Advanced Dashboard, and again, we get to the same spot. Now, the Advanced Dashboard platform is a subscription-based platform based on the data feeds that you'd like to have on there. Now, one of the big draws of using the Advanced Dashboard platform is that it offers real-time quotes on the platform that are going to be streaming. And so part of that means that you have to choose your data packages. Now, if we scroll down on this page, you can see the different data packages that are going to be available to you as traders. Now, for most users, or for all users, I should say, you're going to get the premium streaming package. And this is going to tell you what real-time streaming quotes you're going to get as part of this. This is going to be the default, in fact, to be able to run or even use the Advanced Dashboard platform. Now, under this data package that you see over here, it will cover the major markets that you trade along with the options market and provide you certain level 2 quotes on the CSC exchange. Now, keep in mind there are going to be discounts or rebates available for traders on this package, depending on either your trade quantity that you do on a quarterly basis. So if you're performing 30 or more trades, as you can see here, you will have this fee waived, or it's based on your asset level. If you don't have the 30 or more trade count there, then it may also be waived based on that. Now, additionally, if we scroll to the second section, which says additional streaming data, these are going to be your optional data packages that you can choose. Now, for most basic traders, you may not require this, but for some advanced traders or who want to see some additional information on the pricing, this is where you can come to and select these packages. And here you would find your market depth packages, or in other words, what we call level 2. It is broken down by the particular exchange that you might be looking at. So you are able to select a number of these different exchanges according to what you want and make sure you make the appropriate selection. And once again, based on that additional, the initial column that we had, which gives you those discount breaks on the 30 or more trades quarterly basis, you are able to see what the pricing is going to be. Now, one thing that we should mention is how do the 30 or more trades work? It is based on household trading activity, as you can see, traders. So this means that it is going to tally up the total trades across all of your accounts here with us at TD. And the household activity can be combined to include also, let's say, your spouse's account and even your kid's account, or your dependent's account, as we should say, that all live under the same address. So it's very important that you do group those together. You can phone into TD Direct Investing to make sure that you have that in place, that so that the trades are being appropriately counted for. Now, once you've come over here, and we're going to just hit the modify my package. In my instance, we've already got it added in, but you can come in here, and this is where you'll see how the selections can be made. You can see on the premium streaming package, that's already given by default. There's no way to turn that off if you're an advanced dashboard user. But the additional ones, we can either choose to add them or remove them. In my case, with the version that we're using, we do have all the packages already set up on the platform. Keep in mind, you can remove these packages at any time once you do add them in, if you just want to have a look at what is available data-wise. And if at any time your needs do change, you can come in here, simply just uncheck the data package that you don't want. And then at the end of the page, just hit the confirm, and that will have the changes take effect. Now, keep in mind, when you want the changes to take effect, if you are already logged into the platform or using the platform, you do want to make sure that you do log out and refresh and then come back in, and that will have those changes take effect immediately there for you. So in our case, we're just going to hit cancel to remove any changes that we're going to not proceed with. So let's go ahead now and talk about, once you figured out the initial data packages, how do you actually go about launching the platform or using the platform? So there's a number of ways you can get logged into the platform. The first way that you're going to see here is you're going to notice there's a launch now function. Now this launch now function is tied to actually downloading the software onto your system. Now you'll see right below it there's these two links that are available for Windows and Mac OS users. So you can respectively click on this and this will download the executable file to download the software. And from there, once you log into Web Broker, you're able to hit the Launch Now button and it'll directly bring up Advanced Dashboard for you. The other way that we can also do is, let's say you are not wanting to add additional software onto your device, or maybe you're in a public setting or an office setting and you want to be able to still get onto your platform. Well, that is where the web version will come handy. You can directly click on this link after logging into Web Broker, and that'll open up the platform. And we'll do that in just a moment's time. So that's the second way you can access the platform. We're now going to just step out and we're going to show you a third way, because you can bookmark this. You can also directly get into the platform without going through Web Broker. So let's open up a different tab over here. And if you type in this URL, and we're going to type in Advanced Dashboard, as it shows right here, advanceddashboard.td.com. Okay, so you want to bookmark this, and if we click on this, and we'll see what happens over here, it will directly open up and take us to the login page. Now doing this bypasses having to go through Web Broker to get into the platform. So it's going to be the same Connect ID and username that you use for Web Broker to be able to get into the Advanced Dashboard platform. Let's go ahead and close this just for a moment. Now, the third way you can launch the platform is going to be through downloading it as an app for your browser. So how do we do that? So let's go ahead and click on launching with the web version to begin with over here. So let's click on this. Now, once we do that, this is going to bring up the Advanced Dashboard platform from us. Now, one thing that we wanted to just point out is this right here. You're going to notice there's going to be an icon in the URL bar, and it'll, if you hover over it, it says Install TD Advanced Dashboard. So let's go ahead and click on this. And once it does, it's going to give you a prompt that says, hey, do you want to install this app, TD Advanced Dashboard? And we're going to say install. Now, once you do that, what it'll do is it'll kind of jump out of you and create a separate window, as you can see displayed over here, and look a little bit different. Now, what this in effect is doing is, if we just go ahead and for a second, we're going to minimize and we're going to display it to everyone. It creates its own independent icon. So this way you're able to directly, again, the advantage of doing this is you've got this icon that can take you right into the Advanced Dashboard using its own separate window without needing to go into Web Broker with. And this is what we're going to be using today for our purposes to demonstrate the Advanced Dashboard platform as well. Now, just before we get into the platform, the final thing that we just wanted to mention to traders is just make sure that you do look through the system requirements based on the type of trader that you are and what specs you might need to have the platform perform optimally for you over here. And that's going to be found again just on this section under the tab that says System Requirements right over here. So with that, let's get into Advanced Dashboard over here, and we'll bring this up and we'll go through looking at how you can set up the platform and learning about some of the customization features over here. So we're now in the Advanced Dashboard platform, and this is your first look, and we're going to first start by making sure we can navigate the platform efficiently. So let's start off by getting you familiar with how the platform is laid out, and then we'll look at some different setups that we can customize for ourselves. So you'll notice that when you're accessing this platform, the way you're going to maneuver through the platform is going to be using this navigation ribbon that you see across the top over here. And you'll see me moving my mouse along these different workspaces or tabs, as we like to call it. You can see the one that you're on, it's going to highlight and tell you which one you're currently active on. So we can click through these different tabs to look at different parts of the platform. Now, when you first come into the platform, there are going to be a preset number of tabs already as part of the platform that come stock. But keep in mind that with the customization ability of this platform, you're able to really make it your own. You can delete these tabs if you feel it's not for your trading purposes. You can rename them, reorder them as well in the way that they appear. And we'll show you all the way that you can do that. So this is the basic way that you're going to go through the different various aspects of the platform and the tools and the widgets that are on offer here. Now, what we want to do first is we want to be able to look at just setting up the look of the platform to make it comfortable for us. So to do that, I'm going to go over to this right corner where you see the wrench, and we're going to click on the wrench to access some of the settings on here. The first thing that we can do is we can adjust the time zone according to either where we are, which should be automatic, or it can default to the market time zone if you want to set it up there. So you'll have a selection of this that will show you a running clock in this corner that we see up here. Now, apart from that, you also have the language selection that you can toggle between. So it will default to English, but you can choose French if that's your comfort. And then you can do a mix of both English and French as well there. But the one that perhaps is going to be the most important is the theme. You can see currently the platform comes with a dark theme as its default look. And so the current one that we're on is a black background or a dark background along with white text. And if I were to click on that, and let's switch it over to the light theme to see what that looks like. And you'll see that appear in real time. And let's just close this settings window for a second. And you see the light setting appear over here. So whatever your preference is, you're able to switch through with just one click of a button at the settings there. So let's go back to our settings and we'll switch it back to the original dark theme that we have it on. The other thing that you are able to do is also set up which page you want to start on there. And by default, it's going to be the last viewed one. So the platform remembers the settings on which you usually interact with which space, and it'll land you on that same space there. Now, apart from that, the other things that we are able to tweak and customize for ourselves is the number formatting system over here. You can see right now you've got a comma separator. And best things to show it is if we go to our markets widget over here, just to explain what that is, you'll notice on the price column over here, we have these large numbers in the 21,000, and just separates these commas to be able to better read it. So that's up to the individual trader's preference. If you either want to turn that on or off, you can see we're just going to turn it off for a moment. And if we click off that page, you can see there's no comma separators anymore in those large values. To go back on, my preference is that I'd like to keep it on just to see those numbers a bit better. So we'll keep it on. The other thing that you can do is also choose to limit the number of decimal places that show up. So depending on which products you trade or what information you're looking at, it might be necessary to see beyond just the 2 decimal places. In that case, just ensure that you have this box checked off. However, if you know that you're not going to need anything beyond just the 2 decimal places in the values you're looking at, you can just keep this box checked on, and that will limit it just the 2 decimal places. Now, the last thing that we're going to cover on here in terms of the look is the flash display. Well, what the flash display does is it highlights certain key areas of data that you're looking at. So let's just say we switch on full cell, and we'll explain what that is. So let's turn it off for a second, and you can notice that we're viewing the markets right now, and it's just basically flashing. It's going to be highlighting the background of those values in the respective colors or the way the price is moving. Now, you can change that setting to just have the text alone. So we just did full cell. We can just have the text alone. And if we look at how that looks, you can see the numbers kind of just pop up without the background. And then, of course, if you feel that it's just not something for me, then I can just simply go ahead and disable it altogether. And we're not going to see any sort of numbers sort of popping or highlighting there. Now, I do prefer to have it kind of flashing over here. So we'll turn it back on full cell. That kind of highlights as the numbers are moving through. So in terms of the look, this is the primary settings that you want to be aware of. Just make sure you go to that wrench again, access the general section over here, and this is where you'll be able to tune some of those things up. So let's go ahead and close this window for a moment. And what we're going to look at now is we're going to be looking at how you can build your custom workspaces. And these are going to be these tabs at the top. What if I want to do my own tab and create my own sort of look to it? Well, that's what we're going to look at doing. So to begin with, we're going to click on, at the end of the row of this, on this navigation ribbon, we're going to click on this plus sign over here. Once you open up the plus sign, you'll be greeted with 2 sections in this layout feature. You're going to see one that says custom layout, which allows us to build exactly a custom layout. Or if you say you rather have something to work off of, you can maybe perhaps look at the layout library of the stock ones that are available and maybe use that as a building block to start adding other things on top of that and layering into it. So you do have this option over here. And just to demonstrate how easy it is to get this one added in, well, let's show you how that works. So let's say, for example, I want to use one of the trade ones. The first thing I want to do is I want to see exactly what's part of this workspace. So I can head over to this little icon at the magnifying glass down in the bottom right. click on that, it's going to enlarge the view. It's a small screenshot that tells me exactly what it is. And I can tell by the features, there's a watch list feature as part of this. There's the holdings, the order status, the historical orders, and then it's dividing the page up on the right side to have the charts, the option chain, and some other things in there. So if I'm kind of happy with what I'm seeing over here, I can just close this for the time being, select this one again, and simply go to add layout at the bottom. And once I do that, it happens magically in the background. You can go ahead and close this window, and voila, there you go. You've got a trade layout that we just replicated from the stock library that we have. Now we can just choose one of our watch lists over here, and then you can get a sense of how this page is set up. It's got its own workspace. It's got a 2-split view, and then within each quadrant, you've got these multiple different things or more sub tabs that you can cycle through within the space. So this is one that you can use as a building block. Now keep in mind you are able to edit this as well. So if you wanted to remove something, let's say for example we don't want to have the orders page here, we can simply select this menu, for example, and just get rid of it there. Let's click on the X, and then this one's highlighted now, the historical orders. I can click on the X again here to remove it there. So I've got my watch list and holdings now, and if that's the only two that I want. So you have the ability on any of these views that are stock, once you've added them in, to really go ahead and start creating them the way that you like. But let's go ahead and create a custom view for ourselves. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go back to this addition sign to add a new workspace. Let's click on that, and we're going to stick to our custom layout. Now, there's 3 layout types that are presented to us. There's a desktop, there's a grid, and a flex sheet, and we're going to go through each one together. So let's start with the desktop from the left. I'm going to title it desktop because this is the name that you can title it at the top of the tab, and it can be anything, but for our purposes, just so we can keep a track of which one we're on, we're going to call it exactly the type of layout that we're using. Go ahead and click Add Layout. So once you click Add Layout, you'll notice that the tab ends up being at the end of the row on the ribbon. And so from here, one of the things that you can do, of course, is you can move this and drag it wherever you want to place it. So although it defaults at the end, I can simply click on this and just reposition it if I need to in the middle of the page or wherever it's suitable for you. So let's go ahead and put it back at the end just so we can follow it a bit better there. Now, once you can do that, you also have the ability to double click and you can edit it. So you'll notice there's a little hamburger menu right in there, and you can click in there and you'll see it says rename workspace. So if I need to rename it, I can come in here and I can call it anything else that I want after the fact as well. So just remember that although you've started with a certain name, you do have the agility or ability to change it after the fact. You can also choose to remove the entire workspace. So if anything is redundant for you, or you don't need it, or you just want to clean up the look of your platform, you can just simply come in here and remove the workspace, especially if you've had some legacy ones from a previous time. So with that, now we need to get our workspace filled up with our trading widgets. Now, to do that, you're going to notice at the very top of the advanced dashboard platform, we have these different categories where the widgets are housed. And so you can go through the categories, and we'll go through each one to see what's part of these categories. So under account details, you can see which ones are housed under there, more account specific related widgets. If we come into trading, these are going to be a lot of the ones that we're going to be using. If we come into analysis, these are more on the fundamental side of things that you're going to find related to stocks. And then we can see the news and markets widgets that are available. And then finally, we have the learn information category, where you can see a lot of the video tutorials on the platform, including these masterclasses as well that you will see here as well. So we're going to start with our trading category. We're going to start with a simple layout, and the way the desktop works is just like a desktop you would interact with at home on your laptop or your desktop there. So let's go ahead and click on watch list to begin with. It's simple, just clicking to add that specific trading widget in there. So you can see we've added the watch list in here. Now, with the desktop view, what you are going to see is that if we continue adding something else, let's go ahead and say we want to add in the chart. We can do that over here. It just overlays on top of each other. All right. So the desktop view allows you to kind of do an overlap if you wanted to do so, and what you can do is also rearrange the size of these particular widgets. So what we're going to do in this case is we're going to just resize it and get it more streamlined here for our look. So let's say we want to go on the chart. We're going to, let's say, position it off to the, we want it to go down over here, and I'm going to come on the background and select my watch list and narrow this size up. And let's say we want to put the watch list in this area. So the desktop really allows you to be free with the space that you use and how much space you want to dedicate it to each of these widgets that we have. So we're going to do kind of a larger split on the chart versus the watch list. So we have this look going on here. Now, let's say I'm going to populate one of the lists that we have as part of this. This is a basic look that we have. We can continue layering on and building on. So let's say we go back to trading, and let's say we want to add another widget or another tool within here. Let's say we want to look at trade summary. So I can simply just click it to get it added in, and it gets plopped in over here. Now you can actually drag this and create more space below and plant it below. Now when you're doing this, what you'll notice is it makes the page larger, and I have a scroll bar which I can access that trading widget with at the bottom now. So you can move up and down based on the sizing that you've created. Now we can actually minimize the sizing. Of course, I can just go to any corner over here and just resize it and make it smaller to suit my needs over here that I have. All right, so what we're going to do is just make it a bit tinier and place it over here. Now, one other feature that you can do with this desktop view is, once you've kind of sized it up the way that you want, is you can also create sub tabs on here. So what do we mean by that? Well, by sub tabs, you can simply drag one of the widgets where the title card is. You can see the title card. What I'm referring to in this case is the trade summary, where you see this. I can just click on here. We're going to click and drag. And when I drag over, you'll notice just for a split second, it kind of shades out the watch list in the background. Now watch what happens when we do that. Let's go ahead and unclick. And guess what? You're probably saying, where did the trade summary go? It disappeared. Well, what we did, in fact, was we created a tabbed view within this space. So now what I can do is I can toggle between these two views that I have over here. All right. Now keep in mind, folks, when you're using the desktop layout, once you create a tabbed view, there isn't a way to pull it out. All right. So once you have it in a tabbed view setting, it is going to remain in place there that way, unless you decide to completely go in there and remove it altogether or delete that tab view, and then we're back to just the watch list. So just remember that, because there is an ability to do that on one of the other layouts that we'll look at in just a moment's time, which is the flex sheet. So the final thing that I want to show you, let's go ahead and add back in our trading summary. There's another way you can make this a bit more efficient. If you don't really want to do the resizing yourself and having to move it around, what are some other options that are available to me? Well, you can come to the hamburger menu again up here at the top. Let's click on this, and you'll notice there's a little option that says tile and fill. Let's go ahead and click on that and see what happens. So we click on tile and fill. You can see what it does is it kind of optimizes that space for us in a way that we want it. So we've got like this column fashion that divides the page up in two, and the upper half is divided into two columns where we have our watch list and we have our chart planted next to each other, and then the trade summary section is all the way at the bottom there. All right. So these are just some of the ways you can start customizing using the desktop layout there. And keep in mind, you also can create those sub tabs if that is your preference as well there. So now let's move on from the desktop and go to the next type of layout. Let's click on the plus sign over here. We're going to go to our grid, select that, and we're going to call this grid and see what this one's all about there. So let's click add layout. Now, much like the desktop, you've got a blank canvas to work with again over here. And we're going to go back to our widget categories up here to be able to add different things in here. So we're going to create kind of just a similar congruent look that we had with the desktop. Let's go back to our trading, and we'll go ahead and add watch list. Now, one of the key differences that you're going to find is, let's go ahead and one more, and I'll be able to demonstrate it once we do that, is we're going ahead and add charts. In the grid layout, there's no overlapping functionality like we had with the desktop. You can see that I added a second widget in here and it just dropped it below. It didn't create any sort of overlap here. So if I do want to sort of have them next to each other, what I'll have to do is just kind of resize them. And one thing I can do is I can push one out of the way. So let's just say I wanted the chart, and if I haven't resized the watch list above it, let's say if I move the chart up here, it's not really doing anything. See? So what it's going to do is it's keeping those independent spaces that are dedicated to that particular widget that's there at the moment. So what I will have to do is go up to my watch list over here, and I can drag the bar and make it smaller. And as soon as I do that, you'll notice, well, there we go. The chart automatically comes into that space here in an optimal way. I'm still able to just make it maneuver it bigger, and then I can still come down and just reposition the chart and say, well, we got some space over here, we can plant it here, and they've gone next to each other. So this is one of the key differences to understand about the grid. You are going to be creating these independent spaces. Again, the space is still your own in terms of how much you want to dedicate it to a particular widget. So if we want to give, let's say, the allocation on the chart, kind of the full length of the page that we have or the workspace that we have, we can. And let's say we want to split the one with the with our watch list in half, and we want to throw another widget in. Well, we can go ahead and do that. Let's say we go to our news and markets category and add the news. It'll come at the bottom here in full view, but we can come in here again and just resize our news and let it slot in that bottom section over here. All right. So let's go ahead and load up our watch list again to show you what that's going to look like. And once again, you do have that ability to come in and kind of reduce the scrolling bar space by just making sure everything fits in the way that it should. So with doing this setting, one of the key things that's also going to be different with the grid is there's no ability to do tabbed views like we could with the desktop. So if I were to go onto this title card over here and start dragging, you can see as I drag over to the left, what it's done in effect is just pushed everything else down. It won't allow me to do a tabbed view. So that's very important. If you do want to have those tabbed views, you do want to make sure that you're looking at either the desktop layout or the layout that we're going to look at next, which is the flex sheet. All right. So this is it for the grid view that we have available to us and the way that you can set it up there. Let's look at our final layout type that we have available to us. So let's go over to our workspace edition. Let's click on here, and we can go ahead and choose flex sheet. So now when you choose flex sheet, what you'll notice is that it's independent quadrants that get created for us. You can choose between these ones that are available for to you. Now, what's important to note is whatever you choose, that is the only number of quadrants or spaces that you'll have available to use. So once you decide on something, if you decide to say, well, I need to add more spaces or I need less spaces, you'll have to go in and create a new flex sheet for that will cater to that additional need. So from here, let's go ahead and title this and call this flex sheet. And we're going to go ahead and add it. Now, here's one of the other differences. You can see that as expected, it's come at the end of the navigation ribbon along the pane that we have. And what we're seeing now is these 4 quadrants that we have in this space. One thing you'll notice that's not accessible any longer is up here. Those widget categories are not clickable anymore. They're grayed out. The reason being is because to access or to add any widgets, you're going to come into each quadrant and click on this plus or addition sign. And this is where the categories are now found. So it's just a different way of loading it up versus just going traditionally to the top. So in here, we're going to set it up much the same way as we did previously. Let's say we add watch list in this quadrant. Just click on that. And we'll load that up. We'll go ahead and click on this plus sign, go to the trading category and select charts there. Maybe on this one, I want to add in our news. That's going to be found in the news and markets. We'll do that. Kind of a similar setup. And then I'll come down here on the bottom quadrant and let's go to news and markets again. And let's say we might want to see the most active stocks there. All right. So we're looking at that. So we've got this basic layout. Now what you can do, you can still adjust the sizing that's available to us. So you have these bars that divide these spaces up. So you can see I can go to the upper division over here and kind of drag it left or right and that's increasing the size of these respective widgets there. Alternatively, I can also come to the division that cuts the page in half, so I can drag this up or down as well, and that's going to adjust the sizing that's given to the widget over here. And then on the bottom half, we also have that split between the two. Again, we can drag left to right. That's going to allow us to resize that. So they're independent of each other. So the bottom and the top are independent, and the halfway page as well allows us to really create that as well. So let's just say we want to dedicate more space to the news feed over here. So I could do that and kind of do and have it split up in this look, for example. So these are, as we mentioned, the flex sheet does create these separate quadrants, which can be resized according to what your preference is over here. Now, the other thing that you can do, this is going to be very similar to the way the desktop is set up, is you can also use a drag and drop feature to create subtabs. So let's show you an example of that. Let's go back to this widget, the news widget that we have. Let's click on the header here, and I'm going to drag it above into the next one over here over the watch list. Now, you'll notice as soon as I did that, it just shaded it in the background in a darker color. Now, as soon as I do that, what I'm going to do is, this is my signal that I'm going to unclick and drop it there. And what this has done is it has created these sub tabs for us, okay? Much like how we were able to do it on the desktop view there, okay? So now I've got an independent new space available, and I can throw in another widget that I have if I wanted to do so. But before I do that, I did want to show that the other unique feature about the flex sheet layout is that not only can you put something in a sub-tab view, but you can also pull it out, which is unique to just the flex sheet view. So let's go to our news again, and if we were to click on this header and we can drag it out, and I'm saying, okay, let me drop it in this space. Well, guess what? It back out into its own individual area there as it was previously. All right. So this is a feature that is going to be unique to just the flex sheet layout view that we were looking at there. Now, additionally, instead of doing this and doing a drag and drop, you might be saying, well, do I need to keep adding it to create the subtabs? You'll notice that at the end of the widget, in any of these quadrants, there's a little plus addition sign, similar to what we have at the top. Let's see what that does. So if we go to watch this and click on this for a second, it opens up those widget categories so I can keep layering in those subtabs without having to do the drag and drop. So I can come in here, I can say, well, for this section, let's say I want to see the gainers and losers here. I can do that, and I can keep adding onto this and layering on as much as I like. We go to back to the news and markets. We can add in, let's just say a third one we're going to do is trending stocks. Okay. So you've got this view now. So you've got still 4 independent spaces, and you've within this upper left quadrant up here, we have sub-tabs also created over here, which I can toggle or cycle through these different widgets that we've got set up over here. That's a look at the different layout types. Now, the one last thing we'll mention here is this is a good starting point where you can access the layout feature, but keep in mind, you can also go to the layout manager up here. And this is also going to bring you to the same page. You can see the layout library using the way we were when we were looking at the navigation pane. And you can also customize layouts over here and build them from this spot as well. So there's just 2 different ways you can get to the feature of starting to build your own workspaces, either by the plus addition sign at the end of the navigation pane or by clicking on this layout manager. Now, in addition to this, what we can also do is there is going to be a widget bar that we can open up and close as per our choosing. So that's actually going to be housed right over here in this corner. It's currently closed. Let's click on that for a second and open it up. So what this widget bar is, there's some mini tools that you can have on any workspace. They don't need to be created in advance. And we can add different widgets to this space. So let's just say we want to go to add widget, and we're going to say, well, let's go ahead and put in charts. It's a mini chart that you're going to be putting in. We can go ahead and add in our most active, for example, if we wanted that there. Maybe we want to add one more and look at the markets if we want to keep a track of that. Now, you do have the ability to kind of reshuffle things up, so you can move the markets on top like I just did and have the most active come at the bottom there. All right. Now, in terms of what you are looking and what you are viewing over here, you can click on this edit function at the top on the charts. If you're wondering how do I change the symbol, you can simply come in here and just type in whatever you'd like. So let's just say we want to look at Apple. You can type that in and load up the Apple on the mini chart there as well. All right. If you want to get rid of any of the widgets within the widget bar, if you hover over to the top right, you're going to notice there's an X. I can just click on the X and that's going to get rid of it. And similarly for the other ones that we have here, you can just click on the X and that's going to get rid of it out of that section there. Now, we did also want to show you that this is possible, that you can, if we move through different workspaces. So for example, let's say I'm going to switch over to my account details page. What happens to that widget sidebar? Well, just close this temporarily. You can reopen it again. You can click on this and this one will have its own works or widget bar dedicated to it. So let's just say we want to add something different to this particular view. In this case, let's say we're going to go to trending, for example. We want to see just trending on this one. We can choose to do that. If I go back to my flex sheet view over here, I have that independent widget bar that was just built for this workspace. And then going back to the account details, I have this one set up for this one here. Now you can just close it as well, or hide it away rather, if you don't want to see it or have it in full view at all times during your trading. All right, so we've looked at a lot of the configurations or the layout setups, so get you a sense of the feel of it. What we're going to look at now is just the configurations within each widget that's available to us. Let's head on back to our flex sheet view, and it can be any view, and we're going to take you through understanding some of the different controls that are found within each widget. So to start with, let's focus in on this area in this section. And you'll notice that within each widget that we have, there are going to be these icons starting off to the right there as part of each widget. So you can see the watch list one has this, so does the news one, as well as the most active. So what are they? Well, you can actually hover over them and it'll tell you exactly what it is. So the first one over here is a detach function. You're able to detach or open the widget in a new or different window. So if we click on this, for example, you'll see in a second, it just creates a new separate window for us that's just going to particularly hold just our watch list there. So you can see if you have multiple trading screens, like, well, most traders would have multiple trading screens that they trade off of. This is one way you can just separate some of the information and throw it in there to have in full view at all times there. You can see, and I can just move this window around now. Now, keep in mind, any of these detachments that you do, they only have to be done once, because once you've detached something whether your preference is either just to have a separate window if you just have a single monitor, or to even place it in a certain monitor or screen that you have, when you log out of the advanced dashboard platform, now keep in mind there's a logout function. It's right over here off of the main platform. When you hit logout, it's going to remember those preferences that you have in terms of the detached windows. And so the next time you come in, it will automatically open those windows up for you and also have them placed in the respective screens that you have in the event that you have multiple screens that you use. All right. So for now, we're just going to click on this X to close the detachment. We don't want it detached. All right. So we can do that. Now, the other thing you can do over here, and what's going to help before I show this next icon, is I'm going to actually focus on this one over here, the maximize icon. And this just allows us to take up the full space temporarily. So if I click on that, you'll notice, well, there you go. We've got the full view of the watch list showing up right now. We'll go ahead and hide away the widget bar that we have, and we've got the watch list in full view. Now, with the watch list in full view, let me show you what this next one in the middle is. And this one, if we hover over it, it allows us to either show or hide the configuration bar. So what is the configuration bar? Well, that's located right over here. And now many of these widgets are going to have additional sort of settings you can kind of change around or look up. So let's just say for a second we close this, and you'll notice that that has closed up that little box that was there previously, which allowed me to toggle between different lists that I have on my watch list that I built. It also allowed me to toggle between seeing different views that I can create on my watch list. So if we go back and reopen that up, let's go ahead and click on show that control bar. It's back on again. So I have my symbol box available to me. I can choose between my different lists that I've created, and then also the different views that are displayed over here. And you'll notice that we're on the one that's basic. We can toggle and select a different view over here, and it's going to show some specific information to what we've built over there. And finally, just to wrap up on these icons over here, we have the X icon, and that's to just remove that particular widget off of this workspace that we're on. So for example, let's just say I go back to my gainers and losers widget, and I don't want it as part of this workspace. I can simply click on this X over here and get rid of it that way. All right. So this is just some of those icons. And again, those are going to be across the board for you on all widgets, and they'll offer you exactly the same controls as we just demonstrated here. Now we're going to switch gears and we're going to move over to the left-hand side. Now there's not much on the left-hand side visibly, but there is this hamburger menu that you can access. So any settings related specific to the widget, that's where you're going to find this. So let's go and click on that hamburger menu. Let's go ahead and first highlight what sort of settings that are going to be that you can apply to really customize that look and feel that we were talking about earlier. So you can come to this bottom section, and each widget will house this section where it says if you want to be able to adjust the sizing of the font. So I can come in here, I can say, well, look, I can adjust the size of the font. So let's say, for example, I want to switch it from regular, which is what it's on, to large. I can do that. Also, along with changing the size of the font, we can also change the weighting under this category and make it bold. So let's click on that, and that boldens up the weighting there. So anytime you can come in here and you can adjust those settings under this font selection as well. Now, in addition to that, we're gonna focus on this top part over here. What other things are going to be part of this watch list hamburger menu? Well, you can come in here and you can hide the performance bar. Now, not every widget will have this performance bar, but certainly on the watch list, it does track that, and this is what we're referring to, this bar up here at the top that splits up between green and red based on my securities that I have on this watch list. So I can choose to turn that off. So I can simply come in to the hamburger menu here and click on hide performance bar, and that's gone away with. The other thing you can do is, if we go back onto the hamburger menu, you can also choose to optimize the column width. So what we mean by that is the information these columns, these data columns that you see on a watch list, to ensure that they do fit into the space there. So let's click on optimize column width, and what that does is it just really makes sure that all the information can get boxed in there without cutting it off. So anytime you notice that your information is being squished, or you don't have full view on it, you can come in here and select this with one click of a button, optimize the column width. Now, along with optimizing the column width automatically, traders have the ability to, wherever the widget does display columns, you can actually click on these column headers, and where the dividers are between the column headers, you'll notice it's a faint line there, but I can come in over here where my mouse turns into this two-headed arrow. I can actually go ahead and resize the spacing that's required over here. You can see I can just drag and drop it and size it according to the way that's going to be up to my preference. So you have the ability to do that. Along with that, keep in mind there is going to be a sorting function on all of the column headers. So you can see we just turned on the sort over here. We can turn it on, and it's doing it in reverse order alphabetically. You can have that, and if you click it a third time, it goes back to the original view. Okay, so here's the first one where it's sorting it alphabetically there. I can click it one more time where it's inversely sorted, and then finally it's going to be in the original order that it was placed in. Okay, so any of these columns that you see here do have a sort function attached to them as well. Now, speaking of columns, let's go back to our hamburger menu, and we are going to look at the last thing that you're going to see that's going to be available here, and that is the setting called Manage Templates. So Manage Templates allows a trader to really customize the view that they see on that particular widget that does house data columns. You're most typically going to see this any place where there is going to be information presented to you, where you can customize it. So you can come in here. What you're going to notice is at the top are these presets given to us on these different views. And the bottom section is where we've created some of our own independent views. Now, to begin with, if you wanted to start off with your own one, you can just simply come into this section below where it says new, click on that, and we'll just label it as a demo view. And click on demo, and we can say, now it's already saying this taken, so we're just going to call this demo 1. So we're going to click on save there. So once we click on save, you'll see the available data columns that are here to select on the left, and simply just clicking and using the arrow that points over to the right, we can just say throw it in there. And similarly, we can do one for this ask size over here, and we can keep scrolling down and adding as many different ones that we want that's going to suit us in the view that we want to see there. Let's say we'll just add one more thing, a last price over here. And we'll add one more market capitalization. So I'm just going to go with 4 as an example to just show how this works. Now, once you've set this up, it is going to be an auto save. So you don't need to hit any save button. It'll automatically save it according to this view, the name that you labeled it, demo 1. However, what you can do is you can choose to either delete this if you don't want it anymore. You can rename it if you need to, but you can also just you can completely set it as a default as well, this view. So instead of having one of the system defaults come in, I can say, well, let's make this demo 1 as my default. And so the next time I do pull up my watch list, it's going to show me this column that I've set for myself. So let's go ahead and close this for a second. And now let's show you how you can access it on the platform. So to select the template, you can come to the selector over here where it says template, come in here, and you can see these different views that we've created. And you'll see the one we did today was just called demo 1. It just has this information that was housed in it, very minimal, and we've got that loaded up. And this now, in fact, will be our default list. So in this way, you can see there's a complete number. There's a lot of custom ones that we created over time for our different views, and so you are able to kind of parse different pieces of information. You can see the system one generates a basic one, which shows you this view over here related to the stock. They also created a standard one, which is a bit more detailed view. You can scroll across from left to right over here to see some of the other data columns that you can feed in there. If we come back into the template one more time, we can go to the fundamental section over here, and you're going to see, well, fundamental related data there. All right, so this is it for the configurations on the Advanced Dashboard platform. We looked at some of these icons over here off to the right, and then the hamburger menu that's available. The final thing that we will look at is the synchronization feature, or what we call channel configuration. So let's go ahead and make this into the original view that we had. And what we're going to look at with that, you'll notice that beside this watch list, right off to the left there, we have this section, or these little rectangular grid. You can click on that, and this opens up something called the channel configuration. So what this is really, it allows for the widgets to talk to each other. In other words, it allows us to broadcast from one widget to another certain information, and usually that's going to be the ticker symbol. So let's say from my watch list, I want to be able to transmit. So you want to think of this as kind of a radio signal that we're emitting, or tuning into a different radio frequency. So we were emitting this frequency at, let's say, channel 2. We want to send it there, and just select that, and you can see it kind of colors it in this orange color appropriately next to it. Now all we can do is onto the widget next to it, which is our chart widget. I can come in here, and you'll notice those same little boxes are available here. I can click there and say, let's receive information from channel 2, and we're going to do that. Now once you have this selected, well, just to demonstrate real quick how this works, it's all about efficiency. We can come in our watch list, and let's kind of dedicate some more space to our watch list here to show this. Let's say I want to click on Tesla. Let's go ahead and do that for a second, and you'll notice that it automatically updated the chart to Tesla for me. That's because we've turned these features on, the synchronization features or the channel configuration, for us over here. So in this way, you can have a number of these different things set up here. So let's just say we do it on the news as well. We want to be able to receive the information transmitted from the chart. So in this case, once we've set that up, we're going to just close it and go back to our watch list. Let's say I pick Rivian in this instance. What we're going to have is Rivian load in the charts, but it's also loaded up specific news related to Rivian. You can see that in the symbol box over here. So this is going to be a fantastic feature to really make the platform efficient, from having you to not type the ticker symbol in each widget whenever you're trying to look up some information. So definitely get it optimized and set up for the channel configuration by the workspace that you'll be using here. All right, traders, and that was your look at getting registered, set up, and configuring the advanced dashboard platform. Now, please keep in mind that anytime you want to learn more about the platform, I'll show you some resources that you can find to help you with that. First and foremost, you'll notice that in this top right corner, we have this icon labeled with an eye in it. And if you click on this, this is going to take you to the advanced dashboard guide. So over here is kind of your hub, your central hub, where you're going to find everything related to the platform. Is broken down according to different parts of the platform. You can see we were doing customizations on those layouts, kind of what we just covered. You can find a lot of that over here, and it has these little bubble cards that explain what these different parts or features are. So do definitely check that out. Now, if we go back to our platform here, if you wanted to learn something about a specific widget, well, you can come into the watch this widget, for example. And if we go back to this hamburger menu, you'll notice at the very bottom of that menu, there's something that says about watch this. And let's see what happens when we click on this. This is going to take us into a page that specifically lands us onto that widget informational blurb. And so you can see all the information related to that widget directly by clicking on that hamburger menu that's related to the widget. So let's go back onto our platform over here. And so keep in mind, these are going to be found on any of the widgets that you're on. So let's just say we go for our trending one, click on that hamburger menu, will tell you more about what the trending widget is, and so on, so forth. You can learn about these different widgets. And traders, that's a look at our platform here for today. Thank you for joining me, and be sure to check out the rest of the videos as part of this Advanced Dashboard Masterclass series.